As many of you are beginning to realise, the governing body for motorsport worldwide, the FIA, are entirely corrupt, rotten to the core, and with that, entirely incompetent. They've recently sacked a race director, Niels Wittich, I believe the name is. Prior to Niels Wittich assuming responsibility as the Formula One race director on his own, he was the co-race director along with this guy, Eduardo Freitas, who was guilty of gross incompetence, gross misconduct at the 2022 Japanese Grand Prix. In doing some research for the video that I'm going to do about that, it shows us, it reminds us some of the things that have gone on in this sport. The previous video that I've just released shows you what took place on that final lap of the 2022 Japanese Grand Prix. If you recall that Grand Prix, Red Bull in that 2022 season were dominant. They had developed that car during the cost cap era. 2021 was the introduction of cost cap, the maximum that you're allowed to spend on the development of your Formula One car. And that budget covered the running costs of that 2021 season car, plus the development cost of your 2022 season car. Red Bull breached the budget. Okay, they overspent, meaning they spent more than they should have done in developing the 2022 car, meaning that that car is illegal. They were still allowed to keep all of the victories that they got, though. That's an illegal car. The other teams didn't spend as much on that car. That's a car that's on steroids, and yet the Red Bull team is allowed to compete with its car on steroids. That is how filthy this sport is. There were numerous things. Max Verstappen didn't need to infringe that much in the 2022 season because he got such a performance advantage. That performance advantage was even greater in the 2023 season. What we get is media bigging up Adrian Newey, making out that Adrian Newey is some form of genius. Oh, it's Newey's genius that has enabled this Red Bull car to be light years ahead of everybody else. The 2024 season started with the Red Bull car being light years ahead of everything else, until the FIA banned the asymmetric braking device, and then subsequently banned the ability to raise and lower the height of this front bib of your car, raise and higher the suspension height effectively of your vehicle. Oh, cheat devices. Not so much of a genius when you're not cheating, are you, Adrian Newey? But again, this is the way that the media will want to present Adrian Newey. This is all part of a marketing thing. Red Bull are releasing a supercar effectively for customers to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on, no doubt. I don't know, I've not even looked into it. That would be a Newey designed thing. That would be one of their marketing strategies. Oh, buy a Newey designed car. Spend a few $100,000 on it. But Adrian Newey touched this, so it's going to be a great car. And Adrian Newey's a genius. It's all marketing. Okay. So Newey's a genius. Well, he's not. He's a cheat. Red Bull get to keep all the victories that they got through cheating. Honda, that were the power unit suppliers in 2021, decided to leave the sport at the end of 2021. And then as we get part of the way through the 2022 season, we get to the Japanese Grand Prix, the home of Honda. Honda decide to make an announcement. They're going to return to the sport. And that very same weekend, Max Verstappen not only wins the Japanese Grand Prix at the home of Honda, at the time that Honda announced their return to the sport, Max is declared the world champion as well. Winners. What incredible exposure that is for Honda once again. And again, because Honda had left the sport, there was an agreement between the teams to freeze engine development, just so that Red Bull would not be disadvantaged. So no, it wasn't that Red Bull had extra power that made their car faster than every other team. Because in the past, when we looked at the sport of Formula One, it was always the engine power that was one of the definitive reasons for a particular car, particular team outperforming the other cars. back when Nigel Mansell was world champion, the Williams team had the Renault V10, and that was reputed to be the most powerful engine of the day. And over the years of Formula One, this is what we're told. Again, we do not get to test these things out for ourselves. We're relying upon what we are informed by the media, and obviously some of that will be lies. However, we are led to believe that the defining feature that is the key to the performance of that Formula One car is the power unit. When it got to the ground effect aerodynamics, nothing is spoken about the power unit. It's all about Adrian Newey's genius, isn't it? It's all about Adrian Newey's genius. The fact that in a straight line, the Red Bull can absolutely blitz past everything, and that's due to Adrian Newey's genius. Nothing to do with the powertrain, okay? Which is supposedly have got a freeze on the development because Red Bull were disadvantaged because Honda had left the sport, so it had to become Red Bull powertrains, which was Honda. Honda left the sport for however many months. It was less than a year, just months. During which time, what's it doing? Is it developing the Formula One engine even further so that it's not associated with the budget cap, doing it privately, not in association with budget cap, and then can come back into the sport and we get the 2023 version that blitzes everything. Let me know what you think. In fact, we will never know. But we're never told it that way, are we? It's always dressed up a different way. It's always Adrian Newey's genius or Max Verstappen being the greatest driver you've ever seen. Nothing to do with what else is causing that performance advantage, is it? Either cheat devices or extra engine development whilst away from the sport. Anyway, when doing the research, when looking back at the 2022 Japanese Grand Prix, I've looked at these sorts of things going on, and this is the key that I need to show you, but this is for the next video. This is the gross incompetence, the Pierre Gasly getting blamed for the ineptitude of the race director. But at that same event, we've got, which one is it? I don't know if I've got the right document here. That's where Charles Leclerc was penalised for what was correctly identified as maintaining his position by going off the track. Okay. But at that same event, 2022 Japanese Grand Prix, in qualifying, this is, Max Verstappen is guilty of an absolutely filthy manoeuvre. Okay. And this is what is described as driver of car 1 lost control of the car at T15 to T16 as car 4 was attempting to pass. It's a breach of Article 33.4 and he gets a reprimand for that. Okay, now Lando Norris, being as wet as he is, didn't stand up for himself. Maybe he's aware of the corruption and maybe realises that no matter what he says, the corrupt stewards, who here were Gary Connolly, Felix Holter, two of the very same stewards that were part of the 4 at Abu Dhabi 2021, who sided with Red Bull, who invited Red Bull into an appeal lodged by Mercedes. And Mercedes' valid appeal was that the FIA has breached its own regulations regarding the safety car. And that is what actually took place at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Mercedes appealed that to the stewards. The stewards, comprising of Connolly, Holter, Warwick, plus the steward that was supplied by Abu Dhabi themselves, they invited Red Bull into that appeal to ask Red Bull what they thought. Well, that is not part of any process. It's all part of a facade. It was a facade by Mercedes. Mercedes weren't even represented by their team principal, Toto Wolff. Instead, they, as part of their facade, sent in a supposed barrister. And for a barrister, well, the barrister's not performing the role as a barrister when he's not in front of a judge. He's in front of the great white hope, Derek Warwick, who owns a Honda car dealership. So he's a barrister appealing to a second-hand car dealer. That's not operating in the role of a barrister, is it? But this is the facade that this show wants to present everybody with. Okay? They want to make you and me think that something official was taking place. No. No, it wasn't. It's an entire corrupt show. Anyway, Connolly and Holter here at the Japanese Grand Prix said that they heard from the driver of car 1, Max Verstappen, and the driver of car 4, Lando Norris, and team representatives. Why do you need anybody from the team to represent them? You have the video evidence. You don't need to hear from the drivers. You can see exactly what took place, and I'm going to show you what took place. So you don't need to hear what they have to say about it. You can see what took place, and you can make your judgment based on what you see. Anyway, what was said is supposedly this. The driver of car 1 was aware of car 55 in front, which is completely irrelevant, and I will show you why. And car 4 approached from behind and decided to accelerate. Sorry, I'll just read this again because my punctuation of that sentence probably was misleading. So, the driver of car 1 was aware of car 55 in front and car 4 approaching from behind and decided to accelerate at precisely the same time as car 4 decided to overtake car 1. Why would you do that? You know that there's a car coming up at speed behind you. Why would you ram on the gas? Not only did he ram on the gas, he turned sharply to his left, which I will evidence. He intentionally tried to block off Lando Norris from passing him on a lap during that qualifying session. That is how filthy Max Verstappen is. He is absolutely scum as an individual, as a human being, and the way he contests the sport of motor racing. Anyway, unfortunately is what is the this is the stewards writing this in a report. At what point do you hear the word unfortunately? Is that a factual analysis? Fortune. Okay. Unfortunately, due to lack of tyre temperature, we're excusing it now. Okay, you're making this an excuse for a driver conducting an offence. Okay, on car 1, the driver temporarily lost control of the car, causing it to snap anti-clockwise. Oh, that was because he was steering to the left and you put the full power down. What do you think is going to happen? Unfortunate, is that? Or is that willful conduct? So, the driver of car 4 stated that this was simply an unfortunate incident. However, it is the driver's responsibility to, at all times, maintain control of their car. Regarding penalty, all previous breaches of this nature have resulted in a reprimand, hence a similar penalty is imposed in this case. This was clear intent. I'm going to show you this now. I'll also, if I can find it again, show you Lando Norris's real response, not what is reported here. So, I'm going to show you this at full speed, and then I'm going to show you Lando Norris's interview. If I could, in fact, I'm going to show you at a quarter speed. So go through the driver input, in slow motion. So let's have a look what's actually going on. Qualifying at the 2022 Japanese Grand Prix. In fact, I've got it at quarter speed and I've got the sound off. So let's actually have the sound up and let's get the speed to the right speed. Playback speed, normal. And let's restart this. Let's go again.
Lando Norris, as I mentioned, having a few adventures on his outlap here, going through 130.
Lando Norris, look at the way it's described by media. They say Lando's having adventures. No. Watch.
And then suddenly Verstappen.
What is going on there? Look at the angle of Verstappen's car. That is entirely unnatural. Lando Norris is forced to take evasive action.
But whoa!
Yes. Now watch that again. Lando Norris is fully entitled. You can see that Max Verstappen is a slow-moving vehicle ahead. He's moving to the left to pass Max Verstappen on the left-hand side.
Lando Norris, as I mentioned, having a few adventures on his outlap here, going through 130R, and then suddenly Verstappen.
That's disgusting.
Whoa! Now, that will be looked at, I'm positive.
Now, I'm going to do this in slow motion. You watch it at full speed, but then you'll see it in slow motion. You'll see exactly what Max Verstappen actually does.
In the steward's room.
Yeah.
Because going slow is one thing, Jensen, but doing it on a corner.
And look at the reaction from Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen once again presents himself as the victim of the situation. He is the perpetrator and he projects himself as being the one that is being hard done by.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. What has Lando done? Unbelievable. That is the filthy scumbag that Max Verstappen is.
I mean, the rule on their outlap, I guess he didn't expect the car to be going quick.
We then have Jenson Button trying to validate Max Verstappen. Oh, the rule on the outlap, I guess. Well, what are you talking about? The rule on the outlap? There's no different rule on an outlap, okay? It's not a rule. There's the general principles of being on a motor racing circuit. And that is, if you're a slow-moving vehicle, then you need to make sure you're not impeding some car that is faster than you during this type of session. It's not a rule on the outlap. I guess he wasn't expecting. Let's just go back again to Jenson Button, because again, this is the paid media, paid to suck off Max Verstappen.
Outlap, I guess he didn't expect the car to be going quick, but
Max didn't expect a car to be going that quick. Look at what he's doing.
Max has also lost the rear there. You can hear the...
Max has lost the rear there. Why? Well, he steered and accelerated at the same time. What do you think is going to happen? Everybody knows what happens. You put a big steering angle in and you kick the throttle, you kick the back end of your car out.
The wheel spin from the rear when he's got on the power. Massive snap of oversteer.
Oh, and let's refer to that as oversteer. No, that's not oversteer, okay? That is when you put in a big steering angle and put your foot heavily on the throttle and you will spin and kick the back end of your car out. But you want to try and gaslight the children, making them think, oh, this is just something that happened to the car unexpectedly. They all know what they're doing. You don't get to that level if you do not know what you're doing. Max knew what he was doing.
Great job by Lando to get it past there, but...
Lando Norris, as I mentioned, having a few adventures on his outlap here, going through 130R, and then suddenly Verstappen, whoa! Now, that will be looked at, I'm positive, in the steward's room.
Yeah.
Because going slow is one thing, Jen.
I'm going to show you this at a quarter speed now. And to do that, I'm going to knock the volume down because obviously that gets all slurred. So we'll play it at a quarter speed. The key here is Verstappen's inputs. So if we go back to here. So look at Max Verstappen. You can see his helmet. So you can see him looking across to his left-hand mirror. So he is aware of Lando Norris's presence. Keep your eye on Max Verstappen's steering wheel. He's almost straightened it up now. Very straight. A little bit to the left. Straightened up again. Straightened up. Straight. Now he jams it over left. He is aware. Look at this. He purposefully does this. Going around the bend. So got some left hand down on there on the steering wheel. Coming out of the bend. Drifting across to the right hand side of the track. Steering wheel straightens. A little bit of left hand down. Straightened up again. Look at the angle of Max Verstappen's helmet. He is aware of Lando Norris's presence. He states so in that steward's interaction. He knows that Lando Norris is moving significantly faster than him. He knows that Lando Norris is going to take that there. Having had his steering wheel straight, let's just take it back. Straight. From being straight, from the B in the gap there, not only does Max Verstappen try to then put his foot on the gas, look what he does to his steering wheel. Tries to shut the door on Lando Norris. Tries to shut the door on Lando Norris in that qualifying session. Filthy. Absolutely filthy. And then gets on the radio, and let's just go back to normal playback speed, and we'll put the volume on.
Corner.
It's unbelievable.
Mate, unbelievable. That's a filthy human being. That is an absolutely filthy human being. Now, the strap-on fanboy idolises a human being like that. And they are scum. Okay? Strap-on fanboy. You will like what you like. That's fine. Okay? But Max Verstappen is scum. And this is the reality of what Lando Norris actually felt about that incident.
Well, it looked a very scary moment there when yourself and Max came so close on track. What was going on? We hear a lot about gentleman agreements on outlaps and so on. You thinking he was in a sense trying to defend against you in that moment?
I mean, it was quite clear he tried to do that, yeah.
It was quite clear that Max tried to defend when he was on an outlap.
I mean, there's no rule on doing what you can do, but doing what he did is something that you cannot do. So people always overtake before the last corner, as much as everyone always agrees to it. Everyone always does it, so it doesn't matter. He probably would have done the same if he was in my situation, but I wouldn't have swerved at him if I was in his situation. So yeah.
If you'd done that, would you expect a penalty?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. What about tomorrow then?
So this is the thing. The other drivers do not do that. They really don't do that. They don't drive their car at other drivers. So the strap-on fanboy, you like that, don't you? You like that Max drives his car at other drivers. You like that bullying approach, don't you? Okay? Yes, that excites you. That arouses you. You like that, don't you? Well, that's a reflection of you. That's a reflection of you. Scum. Absolute scum. So, the next video is actually going to be the one about the race directors from the FIA, what the role is really about, and the examples of gross misconduct from their part, the fact that this global governing body of motorsport is entirely corrupt and not fit for purpose. Thank you for your time on this one.